Alright, so now I want to take a look at shadows in the scene. So I need to go and turn on my shadows, and so go to my render settings and turn on ray tracing, because the only light I do have is ray trace, has ray trace shadows. And I had soft shadows already on. That's why it's taking so long. I'm pleased with that. And if you guys remember, you select your light, and to get to your shadows you go down in your attribute editor to ray trace shadows, and your light angle is what makes these soft or hard. I set mine to a number of about 7, and the shadow rays and your depth limit, that's what's going to take the grain out of those shadows once you start making them soft. Alright, so next, what do we want to do? If you notice here, I like the materials. The shadows are fine, but there is faceting, especially if we turn the scene some. You can really notice it. Even though soft shadows are on, notice that shadow there. See how angular that is? And this is supposed to be a smooth mound, and you get a really angular shadow. And also this, my base is faceted, even though it's a NURBS curve or a NURBS surface. So I would like to smooth things out. It looks like my snow is just kind of pointy and has some hard edges. I want to take care of those before we start rendering as well. So the way you do that, first let's start with the outer NURBS curve. NURBS surfaces are converted to polygons at render time, and it has to be tessellated or broken into triangles. And every NURBS surface has tessellation settings in your attribute editor. So you select your surface, you select the attribute editor, and then you'll notice in your NURBS surface you can go down to the tessellation, and mine was at medium quality, but if I take that up to highest quality, you'll notice how and mine had all these little triangles in there. That was because I had under tessellation display render tessellation. So normally you would see that in your scene view. If you display how it's going to tessellate at render time, you click that on. And when I go back to highest count, that's going to smooth out a lot of those things which were faceted before on the NURBS surface. We still have to go do something for our snow surface as well. We still have that issue there. What I've found here is you can do so much in the Maya software, but to create the other problems, I'm going to go to another renderer. I want to go, instead of Maya software, I want to go to the Mental Ray renderer. Now you may not see the Mental Ray tab, and the renderer is what processes this, and each render has its limitations and it has its strengths. But Mental Ray is something called a ray trace render that offers more advanced rendering capabilities. So if you don't see Mental Ray, the way you load it is you go into your window, settings and preferences, plugin manager, and then you go down. There's a long list here, and there's one called Maya 2 MR, or Maya 2 Mental Ray Bundle. You want to make sure it's loaded and auto load, meaning every time you open Maya it will be there. Hit refresh. I don't need to, it's already loaded for me. And then when you go here, it should be on the list. Alright, so I think by default it's probably draft quality. It takes a second for my quality settings to show what it was on draft, but let's go to draft quality and do another test render. and you can notice, you can see already those shadows that were faceted are fixed. And so let's archive this one, and then we'll go back to Maya Software and render. And now as I go back and forth, so that's Maya Software with that kind of ugliness and faceted nature of the snow, and this is with your Mental Ray. Oops. So that's with Mental Ray things. You can see the reflections change. So Mental Ray is just a higher quality renderer, and it does a lot more than just smooth out some of the geometry, but there's some other features as well that we may get to later in the semester.